everyone, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Allison.
And this is Nerd of the Week, a randomly generated fandom podcast.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And we are here together, so...
Coming at you together.
If it sounds different, that's why.
If it sounds like it's being recorded on one microphone, it's because it is.
So get in for a wild ride.
We've been doing this a whole year. All right.
Has it been?
It's been over a year now.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Generator, would you like to remind everyone what the word is this time round?
The word of the week is pie.
We just missed Pi Day, too. And I'm really, fortuitous timing, Generator.
Mm-hmm.
Good planning.
I didn't do anything for Pi Day, did you?
No. Eric, my husband, got sad that we didn't do anything for Pi Day. He's
why didn't he do anything for Pi Day?
He looked at me and he goes, I didn't get you pie. And I'm like, was this a thing that we did in our lives? And he's like, no, but we're going to start doing it. I'm like, well, it's midnight and now the 15th, so I don't think we're going to get pie this time.
But I think, as we said in our last episode, any day can be Pi Day.
You just get pie and then have a Pi Day.
Yeah.
And then also all the numbers. There's actually a thing online where you can search is your birthday in where is your birthday in pi, or how long does it take to get to your birthday? And so you just search the date that it is, and you're like, look, it's this many days in, and then it's Pi Day.
Cool.
So, are you ready to tell me what you think Google says the definition of pie is?
I don't know. Let's see. A baked good that consists of a filling in a flaky crust.
That is more information than Google gave us.
Oh, well, maybe mine's more correct then.
Yeah. It's a noun, and it is a baked dish of fruit or meat and vegetables.
Okay.
Typically with
I said a filling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Typically with a top and base of pastry. And then the sentence is a meat pie.
That's not a sentence.
It's not a sentence. It is just a thing. It is more of a noun. And then it also says, in the U.S., can also be a pizza. Apparently, not in the United States. They don't call pizza pies. But
fine. Whatever.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
It's all fine. So I guess both of us in that case probably picked pie, the pastry kind of pie, rather than any other kind of pie.
And the numerical 16th letter of the Greek alphabet, diameter of a circle, or pi r squared, is the one that you need to know for the area of a circle, and R is radius.
Okay.
And then 2r is diameter.
Okay.
And that is math. That is math that I've learned a long time ago.
Don't desire to go back to math.
No.
Actually, sometimes I do. Sometimes I just wish,
life has answers like math does.
Yeah. That would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
If I could just sit down with a paper of problems and, I just have to solve those problems.
Right.
Make sure that they're correct, and then I'm good.
Yeah, and then there's not, gray areas where it's x equals this. Even if it's a formula, that's what x equals. That's the end. Turn it into a teacher and go have a good day. That sounds
be much better than whatever I have to do on a daily basis. This has gotten too philosophical.
More philosophical than I was expecting with pie.
So anyway,
what did pie inspire for you?
What delight did I bring to us today? I brought something that hopefully is real delightful, and I also hope that we haven't done before. Honestly, I didn't check.
Okay. All right, I like it.
I brought for us Kiki's Delivery Service.
No, we have. I don't think we have.
Okay.
No,
cool.
We haven't.
Good. So, if you're not familiar with Kiki's Delivery Service, it is another Studio Ghibli animation. We did do Spirited Away.
Yeah.
So, that also had pie in it, I think.
It did. It had, because I brought that for food, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it definitely had pie.
Okay.
All sorts of food.
So anyway, Kiki's Delivery Service. This might have been I don't want to say it's the first. I have no idea. First Ghibli animation. Don't quote me on any of that. I know it was made in 1989, though.
Fair.
So, it is about this... It's a coming-of-age story, basically. And it focuses on this sweet little witch girl named Kiki. And in this universe, like, the, I guess, magic users, like, witches and normal people just, like, kind of coexist happily, and there's no, like, oh, you're a witch kind of thing. It's just like,
oh, you're a witch, cool.
That's what you are. Cool, okay. So anyway, after, like, a certain amount of a witch's life, she has to go and live on her own for a year, basically, like out in the real world, before she can really start her real witch training. So this story is Kiki's year in the real world, basically.
Someone let her be an adult, and that was a bad plan.
Or maybe it's a good plan. We'll see by the end. So anyway, she has this little broom that she has to go and fly to just really any random city on. Her mom and dad, like, are all happy, and they send her off, and she, like, lifts up in the air on her little broom, and she has her little cat with her little familiar, whose name is Gigi, and he can talk to her.
Is that what his name is? I have never known this cat's name.
It's Gigi.
I've always been like, oh, that's the cat from Kiki's Delivery Service, and I've never known his name.
His name is Gigi.
Oh, I love you.
And that's Jiji, not Gi. Gi. He's real sassy as well. He has lots of comebacks to whatever Kiki is going through. Anyway, so Kiki's flying along, and she's, like, looking out on the world below her, and, like, wow, I wonder where I'm gonna end up. And then another little witch girl kind of comes up alongside her and's like, hello, where are you going? What do you specialize in? And Kiki's like, I don't really know yet. And this girl, apparently her specialty is love potions.
Oh, man.
And she is real uppity about that. And Kiki doesn't like that at all, but this girl doesn't last long in the scene. She goes off and does her little thing, I guess.
Yeah, she doesn't stick around long.
Yeah, she just, like, something there to put Kiki down, which is sad.
Create drama.
Yes. So already we see, like, Kiki's not real sure of herself, but, like, she has an overall positive outlook on the world, I would say, at this point.
The world hasn't brought her down yet.
Yeah. Something happens, I think, like, some sort of windstorm or something, and it, like, knocks her down out of the sky, and she luckily lands safely in a train car. Luckily a pile of hay. So it's a very soft landing. However, there's a bunch of cows in this car too. And, like, thank goodness they didn't trample on her.
Right. Cows are huge.
Yeah. But she survived the night in this car of hay. She and Gigi, like, worm their way out of the hay. And Kiki's like, wow, I wonder where we are now. Because, like, she'd been sleeping all night. She didn't really fly to a particular destination. She just ended up where the train was.
I'm jealous of her ability to just, like, pass out in, like, a stressful situation. Like, I would have been awake all night panicking, and she's just like, all right, deuces, I'll wake up in the morning and figure it out.
Again, she's pretty chill right now. She doesn't have any of the weight of the world on her shoulders. So she and Gigi make it out of the train car. They end up, like, in this really pristine little town by the sea. And she's like, it looks perfect. It's wonderful. And the first thing that she sees is a baby crying in a stroller while its mom is like, you have to be quiet. What's wrong? Like, this poor flustered woman.
Yeah.
She just...
New mom.
Yeah, like, poor thing. And then across town, while Kiki is flying, I think she somehow realizes, like, the baby has left its pacifier at the bakery that the mom had just been in buying bread.
How serendipitous.
Yes, perfect. So Kiki goes into the bakery real quick, and she's like, I know where this pacifier belongs, give it to me, and I'll deliver it. And so she does. The woman with the baby is so happy, and the baby is also happy, and it's just, like,
it's a cute
so
scene.
good. Kiki's done a very good thing right away. And then she goes back to the bakery to just report on, like, I solved the problem, miss.
Yeah.
And the baker lady, also pregnant. Lots of babies going on in this story right now. But anyway, the baker lady, she's like, wow, that was really nice. And I can see that you're a witch, and I assume you're here on, like, your 1-year mission. Would you like to stay with me and work in the bakery? And
I'm going to take advantage of this kid who just showed up, and I need someone to do stuff for me.
Yeah, I'm about to have a baby myself, so I need help.
Right.
Exactly. Oh, and then her husband, like, he also works in the bakery, of course, and he never really says anything at all in the whole story. But
yeah, I love him.
He's just, like, looks real stern, but then, like, if
he ends up being a potato.
Yeah, he, like, I think at one point, like, sneaks some bread to Kiki, like, as a reward, and, like, he's just real sweet all around. Like,
He's just a cinnamon roll.
Yeah, a strong father figure.
Yeah.
So anyway, Kiki agrees to, stay and work in the bakery for a year, and in return get free lodging. So, everyone really
That's a
lucks
solid
out.
deal.
Yeah.
Housing is expensive.
Yeah. So Kiki, she goes to her first day to work in the bakery. She is real bored right away because she's tasked with basically like sitting at the cash register.
I've been there.
Yeah. And like nobody comes in for a while and she is just so bored. But then she and the baker lady are like brainstorming ideas and they're like, well, you have a broom. And obviously you can fly around on it. Why don't you have a delivery service? And, like, the baker lady agrees to let Kiki use the phone number of the bakery as, like, the headquarters of her service. So it's all nice and happy there. At one point, Kiki's, like, wandering around the city and kind of, like, comes across some other youths. Youths. And they're all, like, they're friends. They're, like, going on some, I don't know, mission, whatever kids do.
Them kids, always up to something.
Yeah. One of them's name is Tombo, which is just the weird name. But he's also a cinnamon roll.
He like loves her ability to fly, right?
Yeah, because he is obsessed with flying himself. Like later in the movie, there's this whole scene, we'll get to it later, with a dirigible, which is like one of like the Hindenburg kind of thing. So he just loves all this kind of stuff and planes and whatnot. So anyway, when he sees that Kiki can fly, he's like, whoa, that's the girl for me. But he's of course young and awkward and doesn't know how to say that.
I understand,
and so instead
Tombo.
he and his friends kind of make fun of her and she feels real bad about herself and it's real sad. It also doesn't help that witches like apparently have like a plain black dress as their regular day-to-day garb and like they don't wear anything else, and so she like looks at her clothes and looks at everybody else's like fancy fun clothes and like, I can never amount to anything, he'll never notice me. And it's just so sad. But she doesn't let that get to her quite yet.
Never underestimate the power of a black dress, Kiki.
Luckily the delivery service has gotten a request. So it's this I believe a older lady who comes in like, I have a gift to deliver to someone who's having a birthday. I don't remember the relationship of this person.
Okay.
But the gift is this little like felt cat in a bird cage. And this cat...
That's a weird thing.
Yeah, like it's not a great gift.
No.
But it's also like kind of cute. Like if someone gave it to me now, I'd be like, oh my god, I love this. But as a child, I'm not sure I would appreciate it.
It was an odd thing.
Yeah. But this cat, the thing is, it looks exactly like Gigi. And so he like does a double take at it. And like there's one of those like weird cartoon shivers that like goes through his whole body. And he's like, what?
I don't like it.
It looks like me. So Kiki, she's like going on her first mission. She's all excited. She has the bird cage. She's flying over this really big forest. And then suddenly out of the forest, a bunch of blackbirds come and like attack her broom. And she and Gigi are like trying to fight them off. But basically like they fall into the forest and fall through the trees and she lands on the ground. And she can find the birdcage, but she can't find this little cat that was supposed to be in the birdcage. No. But she's also running out of time to get this delivery somewhere. Yeah. And she's like, Gigi, you have to be the present. And then I'll come back once I find the cat and rescue you. So she takes Gigi to the house and gives it to this little lad, a little kid. And he doesn't really appreciate it, but the parents are like, oh, it's so cute. Whatever, we'll put it right here. Yeah. And so, like, it's sat on the floor next to all the other presents. There's a dog in this scene.
Oh, no.
Who's big and fluffy, and his name is Jeff.
Oh, his name is Jeff?
Yes.
I didn't know his name was Jeff. Yes. I'm learning all the animals' names in this movie, and it's giving me joy.
I know, all the animal names. It's just really those two.
I love Jeff.
So Jeff is like this big boofy dog, and Gigi's at first real scared that Jeff is gonna like eat him.
That's fair.
Because he comes over and like sniffs on him and literally picks Gigi up in his mouth and just like walks him out towards the door. And then he just like gently places him down, just like hangs out there with Gigi for a while. And Gigi this whole time like has to remain completely still to make believe that he's this toy. Which he does really, really good.
I love this picture. The one where he's just like flat on his side.
He's really good at pretending he's a little toy.
I love him so much.
So, Kiki goes back to the forest to try and figure out where this little cat went. She's, like, cruising around through the trees, and then she sees this clearing, and there's a little cottage in it, and she sees, like, a bunch of crows hanging out in the trees there. She's like, well, this must have been where they came from, so I'll go and investigate.
Yeah.
She's, like, walking around the cottage, and she looks through the windows, and she sees the cat right there on the shelf.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, I gotta go in and get there. So she, like, goes through the door, which, breaking and entering, come on, Kiki, you shouldn't be doing that. Luckily, the person who lives in the cottage is not scary. It's this nice, like, probably like 20 or 30 something person whose name is Ursula. Yeah. And she's just a painter. Like, she just chills out in the forest and paints. She's real cool.
Probably like a druid or something.
Yeah. But she's like, oh, I thought this might be yours, so I saved it for you. And Kiki's like real thankful. And basically this girl like says, I think you're really spunky, but you need some world experience. If you ever need someone to hang out with, like, don't hesitate to stop by. And
I'll be your friend.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you. And luckily she's able to take the real toy cat back to the house. She quickly exchanges it for Gigi, and Jeff takes the toy back inside for them, and all is well.
Jeff is an accomplice in this whole thing.
Yes. An unknown accomplice, because like Kiki didn't tell him about it at all. He just knew.
He just knew. He knew that he had to be the chill friend for a little bit. Yes. Ride or die, no questions asked.
He's a good boy. And that's the last we see of Jeff, unfortunately.
It's okay. He's a good boy.
He's a good boy, and we know it. So anyway, she and Gigi triumphantly go back home. They're so excited. They tell the baker lady what a good day they had, and the baker husband, like, gives them a good thumbs up, like, it's a good day, everything was perfect. The next day, I think Tombo comes into the shop, and Kiki, like, doesn't know how to act, and so she does the thing where she acts like she hates him, and, like, I'm not gonna talk to you.
Yeah.
And the baker lady, like, sees this and's like, I know what's going on here.
I, too, was a young cop girl with a crush. So
she basically arranges for Kiki to somehow see Tombo again by saying, like, you have to make this delivery. So Kiki takes this delivery, I think it's just like some pastries or something, to Tombo's house. And while she's there, Tombo says, hey, there's this, like, party that the Young Aviation Club is having, and I would love for you to come. And Kiki says, okay, I'll be there. And then as she's walking home, I don't know why she doesn't fly home, whatever. Just wanted to take in the city, I guess.
Hey, going for a walk's good for your health.
Yeah, she liked it. So she kind of like stops in front of this store window where there's this really pretty dress. Aww. And then like some girls walk out of it that I think were Tombo's friends that she'd seen the day before, and they're like all giggly and happy. And she sees them and she's scared, and she's like, I wish I could have this dress because I just have this black one. She's like all self-conscious about herself. And she gets all sad and like, oh, maybe I shouldn't go to the party. Aww. Maybe this is a bad idea. Like, you know that thing that we all do, or at least those of us with social anxiety, we're like, I shouldn't do this thing because something might be awkward. Something
might possibly go wrong. And I have thought of every scenario in which it could, and therefore I'm just going to stay on my couch.
Yeah, because I don't want anything to ever go wrong.
Ever.
So Kiki, she's basically decided, like, I'm not gonna go. Well, she gets back home, she's, like, telling the baker lady this. She's like, I just don't think I should, and baker lady's like, do what you want. Right. I'm not gonna force you, but, you really should. He invited you, whatever. However, just then, to take her mind off of all things, there's another delivery that's been called in. So it's for this old lady who wants Kiki to deliver yet another present to yet another birthday party. Lots of parties going on here.
Lots of birthdays.
So Kiki first has to go over to this old lady's house to pick up the present. Well, she gets there, and it turns out the present is supposed to be a herring pot pie.
Oh, yeah, the pie. Okay,
yes,
all right.
So that's how pie comes into this.
Got it.
Which actually, fun fact, I don't know if you are familiar with the Binging with Babish YouTube series. Okay, so one of the episodes was actually a recipe to make this pot pie. I made it. It was real good.
Oh, nice.
So I guess kudos for that. I would highly recommend.
The next time I work up the energy to make a pie.
Yeah, it was actually really good. So anyway, this is being made. And it turns out that this old lady, she's got like real outdated technology in her house, and her electric oven is not working. So she has to use the fire oven, and she's real old and can't figure out how to get it lit. So Kiki's like, let me help you. I can do it. And then while the pot pie is baking, Kiki also helps her clean her house and figure out how her TV works.
Oh,
So
it's so nice.
like Kiki's just doing all this stuff for free, basically.
Right? Charge for your services. Charge for what you're worth, Kiki.
Yeah. But, I mean, she is waiting for the pot pie. She had nothing better to do, I guess. Right. And she's a nice girl.
I probably would have done the same thing.
So finally the pot pie is done. Kiki looks at the clock and she's like, good, I'll still have time to actually make it to Tombo's party. And the lady's like, oh, wait, I forgot. My clock runs real slow. Uh-oh. So, actually, you don't have any time at all. And Kiki's like, oh, no, I'll never make it. And so the lady, like, quickly, like, packages up the pie and is like, go, Kiki, go now. Like, everyone's rooting for her to get to this party, basically. Kiki takes the delivery to this lady's granddaughter, and she is a real stuck-up person.
Stuck-up individual.
Yes. She answers the door, and Kiki's like, happy birthday, this is from your grandmother, it's a herring pot pie. And the granddaughter's like, oh, another pie from Granny.
Oh,
well, thanks.
I would love to get a pie from my grandma.
I know, and as I said before, this pie was good, at least with the recipe that I had used, so I don't know why she's so mad about it.
Spoiled rich kids.
And personally, when my grandma brings me pies, I am excited.
Or at least just be like, yay, thanks, Grandma, even if you're not going to eat the pie.
Yeah. I guess she figured since the grandma wasn't even there, she didn't even have to pretend to be nice.
Yeah, I guess.
Whatever. So
Lame
now
child.
Kiki's all sad. Like, first off, she encountered this horrible individual.
Right.
And then it starts raining while she's flying back.
No.
And so now she's all soaked, and she gets to her house, and it's just like everything is sad, everything is bad. And she doesn't have anything to wear to the party, and so she gives herself a good cry and then decides not to go.
Yeah.
And then we have, like, a little scene, I believe, of, like, the party and Tombo, like, oh, I guess she wasn't able to make it. I'm so sad.
Aww.
And then the baker lady, she comes in the next morning because Kiki hasn't woken up yet for work. And she's like, Kiki, what's wrong? And Kiki, unfortunately, is sick because she was in the rainstorm. Yeah. And the baker lady, like, nurses her back to health. And then her friend Ursula from the forest comes, and she's like, hey, I heard you were down in the dumps and not feeling too good. And Kiki's like, yeah.
Travels very quickly in this town.
Yes. I mean, it's probably a small town.
Yeah.
Kiki's like, yeah, I can't do anything right, and I've also, like, been losing my magic. Like, she tried to fly her broom again as she was getting better, and she couldn't fly her broom, which is, like, her main thing. And then she tried to talk to Gigi, and, like, Gigi wasn't responding. And then he, like, climbs out her window and meets up with this little girl cat from across the way. Just, like, looks back at Kiki like, I have new friends now.
Classic cats.
Yeah. So Kiki's just, like, real sad. And Ursula says, it kind of sounds like when I get artist block and, like, I can't do anything and I just need to refresh my mind. So come with me for a little trip into the forest. So they go on, like, a girls' weekend back into the forest in the cottage, and Ursula teaches Kiki about the crows and just, like, gets her mind off of stuff and, like, shows her.
a real self-care icon.
She is. She's like, just forget about your problems. Just do what makes you happy for a second.
Yeah.
And, like, you're worth it. You're good. And, maybe your motivations that you had at the beginning aren't the same as what you have now, but you need to, like, figure out what will be inspiring to you and make you fly again.
Yeah.
And Kiki's, like, real happy about that. Interestingly, because I feel like in a Disney movie, they would have had some majestic scene with her, like, montaging with Ursula and then, like, flying out of the cabin and, like, triumphantly going back. That doesn't happen. She doesn't actually learn to fly again while she's on this little cabin retreat.
Which honestly is more realistic.
Yeah.
Like, you're not immediately better just because you know the path forward.
Exactly. But, I mean, that's it. She has the path forward now.
Yeah.
So she is finally ready to go back, and she's like, all right, we're at it again. We're ready to go. I think she's, like, gosh, what does she do? I missed some scene somewhere where she does actually hang out with Tombo and the friends. I think
Don't
this
they go
was
flying?
They do.
Yeah.
Like, Tombo was trying to make a flying machine for his bike.
Yeah, I think she, like, goes and is like, I'm sorry I missed the party, and then they go flying together on the bike.
Yeah, except it doesn't really work, and I think they almost die. Anyway, that's kind of just a little episode. I don't remember the significance of it. Not much, apparently. Mm-hmm. And then later, there's Kiki's like watching TV with the baker lady, and they have this news report about the dirigible, which is like this huge, big flying thing that, of course, Tombo's interested in. Mm-hmm. And it's like, the dirigible is now taking its first launch. And oh no, what's happened? The wind has picked up. And this dirigible has basically like pulled off of its wires, and it's like careening towards this big tower in town. Mm-hmm. And most of the people were able to like evacuate down a ladder, but unfortunately, Tombo is stuck up in there. Yeah. Like in the little observation deck, and he's like, I don't know what to do. I can't fly this thing. And Kiki like runs through town. She doesn't have her broom with her. She's just like going with the crowds to like see what happens, basically. Mm-hmm. And Tombo's like clinging on to something for dear life, and she grabs this broom from like a street sweeper. Like, it's literally not even her broom, it's just a random broom that she finds. Mm-hmm. And she just like stands there and like has her eyes closed, and she's like holding the broom like, please fly, I need to save him. And then like the wind majestically like comes up around her, and her hair goes flying, and her dress like billows out behind her majestically, and she flies on the broom, and she's able to go and rescue Tombo. Hooray! And then like everyone on the news is like, wow, little girl, you did a great job here, what inspired you? And she's like, I just knew it was right, or like something like that.
It was the right thing to do.
Yeah, like nothing inspirational, just like I had to, basically.
Right.
And Tombo's like, thanks, I really appreciate it, and maybe if you want to, you could like come hang out with us again. Aww. And she's like, yeah, maybe I will.
Maybe I will.
Because she realized her own self-worth, and everything was fine. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how it ends. Mm-hmm. Like she's able to fly again, and she has a new perspective on life, and it's happy.
And we're gonna be fine.
Oh, and she can not talk to Gigi again. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. Like, she can fly again, but Gigi still can't talk to her. So it's like, I guess she's had to put some of her childish things aside, and Gigi is one of them.
Gigi's off with the lady cats anyway.
Yeah.
Gigi wasn't a true friend.
But he still comes and drinks milk with her. Yeah. So it's all right.
He comes in vibes.
Yeah.
Classic cats.
So, yeah, that's Kiki's delivery service. Hooray. Pie and all.
Pie and all. All right. I have a quote for you.
Okay.
I hope you know it. I don't know if you'll know it. But, the worst pies in London, even that's polite. The worst pies in London.
I might know it.
Okay.
Actually, I think I might, and I thought this might have been the thing that you would actually bring as your thing.
I thought about it heavily, but I'm actually bringing something else because I just saw it and it happened to have pie in it. And
okay.
I'm like, yes, I want to talk about this so badly.
Okay, then I definitely know where this quote is from then. Okay, cool.
So if you know where the quote is from, feel free to message us on all forms of social media. We have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Nerd of the Week, or hashtag Nerd of the Week, or NOTWP. Or we also have some TikToks that come out occasionally, at Vampire Sheep. Sheep is spelled with 3s.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
It always has been.
Always has been.
Anyone who tells you otherwise.
It's the Ohio meme. Always has been. It's all Ohio. It always has been. So, I am bringing, you were shocked, Beetlejuice the musical.
Oh, wow. I am shocked.
So, there's, I went and saw it live. Somehow managed to see the original cast recording. Was amazing. So good.
Wait, what?
The original cast recording's on tour right now.
I didn't realize it was the original cast. Mm-hmm. Oh my.
Yeah.
That's fancy.
I didn't either. And then on the thing as we left, it was original cast. I'm like, that's so cool. I've never seen
the original cast.
The original.
Anyone we know? We know.
Like, I know people.
I mean, I guess anyone we've heard of, like, is Idina Menzel in it. She's the only one I know.
Alex Brightman is Beetlejuice. Okay. And I think he's the only one who's been Beetlejuice so far. Lydia is Sophia Anna Caruso. There's Rob McClure, Carrie Butler, Leslie Kritzer, Adam Danheiser. I'm not
I'm sorry, I do not know any of these people. For all of the musical lovers out there, I'm really sorry. I just don't know their names, and I'm sorry.
The musical theater stops at the, like, actual musical and not, like, all the people that are involved in it.
Yeah.
But I do love musical theater. So this is a musical adaptation of the 1988 film Beetlejuice that was directed by Tim Burton. And then they took the original source material, messed with it a little bit, and then turned it into a musical. I think it was it really 2016? God, I'm old.
You say that every podcast.
I know, like, just the passage of time just blows my mind. But we start with a grave kind of in the center of the stage, and it's the...
Wait, doesn't the original movie open with a big spider?
Yeah.
That's the only part I've seen of it.
Yeah. Eric and I realized that we have not watched the original Beetlejuice, like, all the way through, because it was probably playing on TV, so we've, like, seen parts of it as it came, because, like, I really remembered, like, the little head guy who got shrunk because he tried to skip his place in line in Purgatory, and then there's, like, a shaman
I feel like I should see this movie. It sounds like something I'd like.
Actually, I think so. It fits your vibe really well. The musical was great. I think you'd love that, too.
Okay.
But the 1988 movie is also fun. It's got, like, Winona Ryder in it, Alec Baldwin, like, it's actually pretty well, like, star-studded. Michael Keaton is Beetlejuice. So it's a fun movie. Show. I combined show and movie. I know what I did. It's fine. Combo words. So anyway, musical opens with the first song, Invisible, which is Lydia like mourning her mother, and like, no one likes you when you're sad and you should just be happy all the time, and everyone wants you to be happy, but she's like, I just lost my mom and everyone wants me to be like acting like putting on a brave face, but this sucks. And then as she's going on about it, the demon, I think he's a demon, named Beetlejuice. I don't really know what he is. He's just kind of an entity that exists who's been dead for a long time.
Okay.
And he wants to be seen by people because he's basically stuck in the mortal realm, but no one can see him. And he really wants to pull like pranks and scare people and do all this stuff to people, but he can't because no one can see him. So he's concocted this like crazy plan. But he's like, this chick's sad, but so you know, this is going to be a show about death. And the first song is the whole being dead thing. And they're like telling you like, we're going to talk about death. We're going to talk about this. It's going to be really sad. And then it's this big musical number that they've performed like 8 or 9 times on like various like award shows and things. Cause it's like their big number. But from there, he is sick of being invisible. He has found a house that has 2 people in it who are a young couple who are Adam and Barbara Matland. And they're newlywed couple, or maybe they've been married a little while. I'm not 100% sure. Basically, they want to start a family, but they're like not emotionally ready to start a family.
Okay.
And they're like, maybe we'll wait a little bit longer. Maybe we'll wait a little bit longer. And they like keep pushing it back. And so she's taken up pottery and has all these hobbies, and then he is rebuilding this like old crib that like has an electrical outlet for some reason, and it has like one of those like hang things that has like all the little toys that you can look at.
Oh, like a mobile?
A mobile,
okay.
But it's like a really ancient one. And the house is faulty wiring, so he's had to run a bunch of wires, like, through the whole house. And then he's going to plug it in to, like, make it work for the first time, because he's spent all this time restoring. And
sounds like a bad plan.
It is a bad plan, because when they put it together, they electrocute themselves. And then they die. Their bodies fall. And then Beetlejuice comes out and steals the handbook for recently deceased. So this book falls from the sky. And it's the handbook. And so basically it says, like, proceed immediately, like, draw a door and proceed immediately to the nether world or whatever, like, the afterlife is.
Okay.
And he's like, nope, and throws it in the fire. And I don't know if this is a bit that is with, or that he does every show or not, but it's also like, hey, you want to see a puppet trick? And then he, like, makes the book talk. And it's like, what happens to books when they die? I don't know, book. Let's find out. And he throws it in the fire, and then he's like, ah! And then he goes, some puppet shows are sad. And then after that whole fiasco, he Adam and Barbara wake up and they're like, oh, we made it, we're alive, it's fine, everything's good. And then Adam realizes he can't feel his pulse, and Barbara like is really cold and is trying to turn on the fire, and it's like, wait, the fire's already been turned on because he set up fire to that book. And then she catches fire, but she doesn't feel anything. And then they're like, oh shit, we are dead. Now what do we do? And so while they're in there, because when you die, there's like apparently a long period of time before like your soul leaves the body. So they're still stuck in the house, but their body's been moved on, and their house has actually been sold to Lydia's family, the Dietz, Deetz.
Okay.
And there's like movers coming in, and they're like, wait, why are you taking our stuff? Don't take our stuff. And Beetlejuice pops up and is like, hey, I can help you. And I just need you to do like these things. Because he's so desperately lonely, he wants someone to talk to them, talk to him. And then so he's going to teach them how to scare people and all this haunting, because he's going to get them to get someone in the house to say his name. So the way to get Beetlejuice to appear, I don't know how he learned this information, but if someone says his name 3 times uninterrupted, then he can walk into the mortal realm and everyone can see him and he can influence stuff.
Okay.
And so his plan is to have the Matlins become spooky and then get someone to say it, like hand them a business card and which says, say this 3 times, and then have a mortal person say that name 3 times.
Okay.
It's a very convoluted plan. But unfortunately for him, the Matlins are like the nicest people on the planet. Like, they have not a scary, mean bone in their body.
Oh, no.
Like,
these are the dead people?
These are the dead people.
Okay.
And they took up, like, Pilates, and they went and, like, volunteered at their local shelter. Like, they have no mean bones.
Aww.
And so they're, like, trying to be scary, and Beetlejuice has, like, a soliloquy where he's standing off to his side, like, this is never going to work, what's going to happen, I'm never going to be seen.
Aww.
And then they lampshade the soliloquy, because Adam goes, you know we can hear you, right? And he's like, this is my soliloquy, quiet, you're not supposed to hear me.
I love that, like, weird little, like, fourth wall-esque kind of thing in the musical. That's good.
Yeah, I love fourth wall breaks, and this movie the movie and the musical, so many. They're so good. So, doesn't work really well. So then we go, well, Beetlejuice is, like, convinced that he's never going to be seen by mortal people. He goes up and is sad on the rooftop. Because that's where you go when you're sad, I guess. Then we go and we see Charles and Lydia. So Charles is Lydia's dad, and Lydia is being carried in on a couch. And she's such a Wednesday Addams type character. She's such a vibe. They, like, take the, like, sheet that was protecting the couch off, and she's laying there, and she's like, does this couch make me look dead? And Charles is like, no. Honey, I need you to stop saying things like that. And Charles has his life coach, Delia. So she's kind of like this, like, guru, like, vibes. She talks very, like, eccentrically and, like, moves her hands all over. She's, like, just very aggressive in, like, all of her motions. And Charles had hired her to be kind of like a therapist to help her, like, get through this, because she's been so sad for so long.
Oh, no.
And
therapists and life coach are different things.
Right. But to Delia's credit, she is trying. Like, she's not a malicious character. She just doesn't understand, and I don't think has ever been sad or, like, aggressively sad. And then when you get a little bit more of her backstory, she kind of, like, leaned into, like, the positive vibes, chakras, energy, guru stuff, because her husband left with another man, and they, like, took off and took all her money and, like, drove away in, like, a boat or something. So she was like, fine, life happens, and I'm just gonna ride with it. So she just takes an aggressive positivity route. So she's just trying to get Lydia to, like, maybe not be, like, happy-go-lucky, but, like, take the next step into being like, this is fine, or we're gonna be okay. Charles and Delia are definitely in a relationship. And anytime Lydia's not around, they're, like, on each other. And it's actually really funny because they'll, like, knock over, like, they're very chewing the scenery of, like, knocking over set pieces and stuff like that. It's really fun to watch. So they tell her, like, she needs to be positive and happy because Charles is trying to make a flagship, the house they bought, turn it into, like, a model home for, like, this gated community that he wants to do, and he's holding a dinner for some, like, ritzy dude who's gonna invest in his business plan. So he's like, we need to look like the, like, model of society, and, like, you can't be sad, and I need you to, like, for a night, pretend like you're normal.
Oh, no.
And Lydia takes high offense to this and, like, rushes upstairs, like, I'm going to my room, and I'm not going to talk to you. And she ends up in the attic, where...
Is that her room?
No.
Okay.
As far as I know, I don't think so. But this is where she can see the Matlins, and they're trying to spook her because they put sheets on because they've determined that they're going to actually be scary. So they found their twin linen sheets, and they cut holes in them, and they put them on, and they're, like, being, like, spooky ghosts, and Lydia thinks this is hilarious. And then they take them off, and she's like, wait, this house is haunted? And they're like, wait, you can see us? And so then, for some reason, I think because Lydia's gone through something really traumatic, she can see them.
Okay.
And so she actually starts to become friends with the Matlins, and they kind of become more of like a parent figure. So she becomes the kid that they never had, and then they're kind of there to help with her healing. And she's talking about how she feels invisible and all this stuff, and they're like, we can help you, or, like, just be there for you. But she goes to go tell her dad that the house is haunted, and then
Why would she tell him that?
Because she wanted to spook him out of the house. She's like, because she wants to go home. She wants to be back at her old house where her mom had died and that kind of stuff. She wanted to be, like, closer to her mom.
Okay.
And so she's trying to figure out a way to get him out. And so when she's going to tell them, she finds out that Delia and Charles are sleeping together, and then she's really mad about it. So she then ends up on the roof. And so Beetlejuice, who's depressed up on the roof as well, is like, oh, look, another sad kid. And then she's, like, talking about offing herself. And Beetlejuice is like, yeah, just go on, be another depressed teenager. And she's like, what? And he's like, wait, you can see me? And he's like, holy crap, I don't have to use the stupid Matlins at all. I can just have you say my name. And
no.
So she's like, I just have to do what? And he's like, I can't tell you my name. However, we can play, like, charades. So she figures it out pretty quick.
Okay.
And then she's like, okay, so then she starts taunting him with his name. So she'll say, like, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, and then a B-letter word. And that's the song, Say My Name. It's a really, really fun song. There's a lot of, like, wordplay and back and forth in it.
Okay.
And she goes, I'm not dumb. Like, clearly you're a demon or something, and, like, this is gonna end poorly. Like, no. And then the Matlins come up to be like, this is the guy that we were telling you about that, like, is trying to do something. And he's like, look, any ghost can do these things. She goes, any ghost? Okay, cool. I'll just use these two, and the ones who've been my friends so far, and not the clearly demon who's trying to possess me. Mm-hmm. So I think she pushes him off the roof somehow. And then dinner party happens. She goes to Barbara and Adam. They possess her father, Delia, and then the rich people who are coming to, like, invest in the thing. And they end up singing, like, the Banana Boat song. And, like, there's this, like, just a sheer ridiculous amount of, like, things happening around, like, they're, like, moving stuff and, like, the tables and the chairs and things. And the set design here is really, really pretty and really well done, and they take a lot of use with, like, just projectors and like having, like, images, like, drawn on the walls and things like that.
Cool.
And so they get possessed, and the guy, I think his name's like Maxie or something, is like, wow, this is amazing. Having a haunted house is, like, super worth, like, the investment, because I wasn't going to actually invest in this project until the house was haunted. And Lydia was like, wait, no, what? I should have just sat here and been sad, and then, like, we would have been able to go home. So then she says Beetlejuice's name 3 times, and then he takes over the house, scares everyone out. It becomes, like, this, like, big, actually terrifying monstrosity of a house. And then that's the end of Act 1. And then Act 2 starts with a Girl Scout who has a heart condition.
Oh, no.
And she's like, if I get scared, I might die. And you're like, oh, God. And then she rings the doorbell to the Dietz's house and is greeted by Lydia, who's like, yeah, come on inside. I'll get some Girl Scout cookies. And then Beetlejuice, like, scares the crap out of her.
Oh, no.
And then she's like, but she still buys Girl Scout cookies. And they still end up with Girl Scout cookies, which cracks me up the most.
Good. Important priorities.
Important priorities. And then I don't think the Girl Scout dies. They don't mention it. She just runs out of house terrified out of her gourd. And then there's the song, That Beautiful Sound of like people screaming and being scared. And where pie comes in is there's a little old lady who comes in. She's like, oh, hi, new neighbors. I brought you a pie. And they're like, oh, yeah, come on in. And then they like chase her out and like throw the pie at her. And then like a bunch of pies show up. And it becomes like a kind of like a Benny Hill situation where they're like all throwing pies around.
Gosh.
Very.
What a waste of pie.
Such a waste of pie. It's very sad. So Lydia's having fun with Beetlejuice, like scaring people away from the house. But she discovers a copy of the Handbook for the Recently Deceased because Beetlejuice tells Lydia that she has to follow a couple of rules because there are rules once you're dead. And she's like...
But Lydia's not dead.
And that's what she's like. She's like, but I am not dead, so why do I have to follow the rules? And he's like, he's just trying to, like, exert control, because, like, he's desperately lonely. He's not a good person.
Okay.
And so then she's like, wait, what's this book? And he's like, this, but because Lydia's not dead, she can't open the book. And she's like, wait, can this book bring my mom back? And so then she ditches Beetlejuice to go upstairs, because the Matlins... this entire time have been stuck up in the attic because they can't come down because of Beetlejuice's power. But if they leave the house, there's these things called sandworms that will, like, eat the ghosts.
Oh, no.
And then you're gone forever and you don't get to go to the afterlife. So sandworms are scary. And they're like the like, black and white striped creatures. It's like these big, like, giant snake things. And so... Beetlejuice decides that because Lydia's left him, he's going to trick her into marrying him because that will allow him to be risen from the dead. I don't know how he knows this.
That sounds a little far-fetched.
Right, like, saying your name 3 times already was a little far-fetched, but now we're going like, if I get married to a mortal, then I'll get to be mortal too. And you're like, okay. So Lydia up in the attic... kind of apologizes to the Matlins and then shows them the handbook, and then the Matlins realize, like, oh shit, we weren't supposed to be here, we're supposed to go to the Netherworld, and leave like immediately because the handbook's like immediately proceeds to the Netherworld. But Lydia wants to, like, keep flipping through the book, and Adam realizes what's happening, and, like, she's going to become obsessed with this and then end up in the Netherworld before she's dead, and is like, no, so he shuts the book and won't let her open it. So then she takes off running, and Barbara realizes that she and Adam need to do something to protect her, because they basically, like, adopted her at this point. And they have the song Barbara 2.0, where they're like, they're not going to let anything stop them, they're not going to be afraid, they're going to be like, let's do this thing. And the actress who plays Barbara is such, like, a goober. She's just like, yeah, let's go. And I'm like, God, that must have been so much fun to play. Then we go back to the first floor of the house, where Delia, Charles, and Delia's guru, Otho, re-enter the house to rescue her. They brought, like, a soul box, and they're going to try to trap Beetlejuice in the soul box. And Otho's, like, going on these, like, long-winded, like, philosophical speeches and things. Like, he just knows all this stuff. And then Beetlejuice shows up and is like, LOL, no. And then they basically put them in, like, a game show of, like, we're gonna get people to die. And Otho is he's like, let's check our stocks. And he, like, pulls the sheet back, and Otho's, like, in a headstock thing.
Oh, no.
And Delia goes, what's going on? He's like, I'm a scam. I'm from Canada. Lydia realize that Beetlejuice is going to kill everyone, but she needs to know where her mom is, so she does some shenanigans where she's able to get one of the ghosts to draw a door, and then so while they're, like, talking Beetlejuice down, she, like, darts through the door, and then Charles, realizing his daughter's gone, like, goes after her.
Oh, no.
And then they end up in the Netherworld, where there's a series of, like, they meet Juno, who is the director of the Netherworld's Customs and Processing, and she's like that, like, if you've ever seen Monsters, Inc., the secretary lady, she's that vibe of just, like, just a curmudgeon old lady. And she's like, you're not dead, but we can make you dead. And, like, just sends a bunch of ghosts after them. And then they're running around. And Lydia's trying really hard to find her mom. And then gets more and more lost in the netherworld.
Oh, no.
And then she stops and she doesn't know what to do. And Charles finds her. And in the netherworld and, like, in the middle of this chase scene, they're like, I just want to be able to talk about her. And, like, she was my whole world and you don't even want to talk about her. And then Charles is like, do you not think it doesn't hurt? She was my whole world, too. And it's, like, this really sad scene. And I was, like, bawling my eyes out in the theater. He's like, we can talk about her. It's just hard for me. And she would want us to keep going. And I'm trying to keep going. And I'm trying to be brave for you. And so they have, like, an actual, like, reconnection with each other. And then they managed to sneak out of the netherworld because he had hidden the chalk somewhere because he was afraid of the ghost football player catching him. So they have to go find the chalk. I think it's just like a hand wave to get them back to the netherworld without it being like, like, how did they get back?
Okay.
And like, here, we're gonna go back. So Beetlejuice is preparing to kill everyone, but Lydia comes out through the door, like, because she and her dad have come up with this elaborate plan where she's going to agree to marry him.
Oh, no.
And then, so she's, like, in this, like, ridiculous, like, more, like, Hispanic-style wedding dress. And she's like, oh, no, we're going to get married. And then she plays up and he's like, I'm not a fool. I don't, like, you're just saying that to save your friends. And, like, the whole series, or the whole show, he's been, like, attracted to Barbara and Adam, the Matlins, and he's been, like, flirting with them on and off.
Oh, no.
So then they gear it up to, like, 11, and they both come up to him and they're like, actually, we've been thinking about it, and you're really attractive. And, like, first Adam does, and then Barbara does it, and then he's, like, getting all hyped, like, oh, people are paying attention to me. And he's like, okay. I do actually really want to marry you, to Lydia. And then there's the song Creepy Old Guy of, like, just because you're a creepy old guy doesn't mean you're not worthy of love.
Oh, my gosh.
And then so Beetlejuice comes to life because he's technically married to Lydia, as a green card thing. And then, as he is, like, celebrating, Lydia takes the crappy art that was sitting in the back, like, in this room. I was staring at it the whole time. I'm like, what is this going to be used for? And it, like, she pulls it out and it's like this, like, literal spear that she just impales Beetlejuice with.
Oh, no!
So then she kills him. So then another handbook for the recently deceased shows up. And then they're able to get the door open to, like, send Beetlejuice into it. Mm-hmm. And Juno kicks him back out, and then we find out that Juno is Beetlejuice's mother.
Ah!
And he's like, oh no, Mom, look, aren't you, like, proud of me or something? And then he ends up, like, leaving through the front door and getting a sandworm, and then, like, having the sandworm eat his mom.
Oh no!
And then he's like, alright, well, I'm gonna go learn my lesson somewhere else, and, like, rides off with the sandworm. And then they have, like, a moment where the Matlins are gonna stay in the house and stay with them, and Lydia, Delia, and Charles are all, like, making up with each other, and they're gonna try to be a family. And that's the end of Beetlejuice.
Wow!
And it's amazing, and I loved it, and I recommend seeing it. And honestly, like, most musicals, there's at least, like, one or two songs that I'm like, about. Mm-hmm. This one, like, all of them were fun.
Nice.
And they were just very, very silly and all, like, had a purpose. That wasn't just the main actress needs to go get changed in the back, so we have to have an old guy singing for 20 minutes.
Yeah. I know exactly those songs that you're talking about.
So,
cool.
Yeah, very loose scrap of pie, but I was so excited the pie was in there, because I was like, I've been itching to talk about it.
Any excuse you have.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Musical theater is my favorite. Speaking of musical theater, do you want the quote again?
You can say it again. I think I know it, though.
The worst pies in London. Even that's polite. The worst pies in London.
It's from Sweeney Todd, yes?
It is.
Yeah.
It is from Sweeney Todd. It wasn't on my list. I was like, maybe I'll bring this, but
that one, it crossed my mind, and I'm like, no, but I feel like Steph will bring this one, so I can't.
I guess we'll have to attempt to bring Sweeney Todd another time.
And I'm actually not that familiar with it. I think I've only actually seen it once. So.
I saw it once when it was in theaters, and I honestly haven't seen it again. But I remember liking it. And it's very macabre.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, cool. So look for that in the future, listener.
All right. What now? Generator?
What even are we doing
What
now?
even are we doing, generator? What is the next thing?
The next word is vegetation.
Vegetation. All right. Like plants.
Chomp chomp leaves.
Chomp chomp leaves.
As though I'm a caterpillar.
A very hungry caterpillar?
Yeah.
All right. I got there. Well, if you're looking forward to chomp chomp leaving, please tune in next time while we talk about that. Thanks so much for listening, and if you liked us, feel free and please share with a friend so that we can keep growing as a podcast.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Be awesome.
We would appreciate it. And I think that's it. I think that's all the things I have to do. So.
Yeah.
Cool. As always, I've been Stephanie.
And I've been Allison.
And this has been Nerd of the Week. Remember, we're not a pyramid scheme.
I think you almost didn't remember.
I almost didn't remember. So yeah, it's working. If we keep saying it, we'll manifest.
Okay, bye.
Bye.